Yeah, but like, I'm not being funny. I've just, I'm reaching that limit as a parent where I can sit and watch something and go, "Oh no, be terrible if that character turned on everyone in this moment. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, do you know what? Gosh, we're in a terrible position. Wouldn't it be great if the hero were to make the save? Oh, look, there he is." Like, I'm at that age now.
Too predictable for you now. You're just like, oh my god. I don't mind. I like the songs because we played them in the car. Like they like put on a Frozen soundtrack, and I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's go. So.
To each, I mean, I do know all the words to the songs in Moana as well. So it's because it's been drilled in over time. We must have watched the original Moana 100, 200 times. Something stupid.
You still watch it? Fuck it. We were watching it the other day. I like. You know who I'd actually like the fucking. What's that one? The crab. It's like, oh, you taste like my grandmother, and I ate her.
Yeah, that because he was in Rick and Morty as well. He did another similar type character. That's a weird cat, but he kind of works in an animated setting.
Yeah, I like him.
I like him too.
But he's funny. But yeah, anyway, I'll let you go ahead before I do on.
I don't care. I might leave all that in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to this unorthodox edition of the Halcyon Show. Offense. Something sports teams employ. Something military tacticians seek to instigate. Something made of wood around your house. Or in the case of UKBR, a useful tool in the battler's arsenal to elicit and provoke a response from your opponent. Well, let's meet a man who's taken offense to a fucking art form, because today we chat to a battler who has battled almost everyone who is anyone in the UK scene, has made a name for himself being truly one of the only battlers with zero fucks to give and even fewer lines he's not crossed to achieve battling nirvana. He's battled across countless times. He's accumulated some of the biggest reactions the genre has ever seen. But today, let's take a peek behind the persona on stage and perhaps dive into the mind of someone infinitely more nuanced and deliberate than his bars would otherwise indicate. Which, given his name literally means something hard to understand or explain, is apropos. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's meet the riddle wrapped in a conundrum, wrapped in a question, shall we? Please welcome Enigma to the show.
Well, thank you. That was an amazing intro. I might just clip that. Use it at my funeral. That was good.
I try. Do you know what? I'm going to skip the initial questions because I have to get to your love of the written word. Because the one thing that came up in my research is the love of the written word. I watched an interview with you in a real podcast, not like this fake one. And one of the things that struck me immediately was this love from a very young age about the power that the written word had for you in promoting you, in giving you success, in just kind of identifying with it. The question I had for you is, how has that evolved over time? Obviously, from a young age, it's getting the pops from the teachers and the students to now, like, how has that changed? How has it evolved? Or how has it endured as well?
It's an interesting question. I don't know how to answer. How's it evolved? I guess I'm more deliberate with how I see language now than how I saw it. So when I was younger, I guess I was wielding it in a very like instinctual way. So I might have had just an ability with words that I didn't know I had. Like I didn't know that I was maybe wittier than the other person or faster with, I'm gonna say faster in my words. Ironically, right now, the words are going slowly through my head. But yeah, I think obviously I grew up in a household full of books. My dad reads, loves reading. So I took that on board. My mum is like trilingual. She's a trilingual secretary, or she was. So that, which is translating from Spanish to French to English. That was her job. So she had to make sure there was 3 translations. So words in my house always had meaning. You know, like my mum was the grammar Nazi because she came from France to England. So she had to be sure that a word meant what it meant. So if I said any kind of word that was used incorrectly, she, no, you don't say it like this, huh? You have to use this with the conjunction here, and you know, whatever. Whereas my dad was a little bit more laid back and was like, who gives a fuck? Like, just say the words however. But he did music, and he wrote poems, and he wrote stories and stuff like that. So I've always been sort of surrounded by it. So I think I had that natural ability with words, but I wasn't aware of that. And then I was just like doing raps and writing, and as I get older, I've found more of an appreciation in words and learning about writing and grammar and whatever else. So I guess there's a long way of saying, like, I'm a bit more intentional with the things I say now than before. Maybe I just sort of had an instinct just to use them and just however I see fit.
The reason I had to ask is because I've seldom seen people take their passions or creative vocations and apply them in a real world capacity. The example I'd give with you is the right path, which is something that I didn't know about. And again, after having listened to the interview and seen the shiny award that you won, and then hearing the context that you laid out, which is essentially trying to use language to help people hypothesize a future and then maybe hypothesize a better one, which is kind of a really simple yet radical concept. And the thing I had to ask is, like, what's the inspiration for taking something you're obviously very good at and you can do in very overt ways for creative or entertaining purposes, but you decide, actually, no, I want to try and make a palpable difference. I want to do something. How does that happen?
I think obviously my love of reading and my love of writing were kind of intertwined, but I think I became more empathetic over the years from reading. And the more you read about other people and people from I don't know, different backgrounds, or who have different belief systems from you, or different ideas about something, you know, the more you read, the more you realize, like, the less sure I am about my opinions on anything, really. And I guess because that helped me grow as a person, and I was a bit of a prick at school, you know, I just feel, you know, it's because, again, I used to cuss people, but I never saw it as anything. It was just funny. Like, someone say some shit, like, oh, what, like your mom, you know, like, oh, I just fell over. Yeah, your mom fell over and sucked a dick. You know, I just say that and everyone be laughing, and I'm like, this is funny, not thinking that the person I said it to maybe goes home and cries that night, or feels like shit. But at the time, I'm like, I'm so fucking funny. Like, that was the funniest shit. But then as you grow older, and like I said, I became a bit more empathetic, and I feel like I wanted to apply that to other kids who would have been at my age when I was like 15, 16, and were just a bit brainless, and not that they're stupid, it's just they're not really thinking about their choices. And, you know, you just say to them, you get them to apply their life, but through a story. Like, just in general, people, if you try to give anyone advice, they don't want to hear it. Like, if someone says, oh, I'm seeing, you know, this, my partner's always shouts at me and whatever, and you say, oh, maybe, you know, you need to set some boundaries, whatever. Oh, yeah, but, you know, he doesn't mean it. It doesn't mean anything. But if you say, write a story about a woman who is constantly being shouted at by her husband, for instance, how does she feel? And they start writing it, and naturally they're going to infuse their own feelings into it. And then you think, okay, now how does that woman get out of that situation? And you get them to kind of work through the process of what it would feel like in a safe way for someone to actually, like, leave or whatever else they could do. And then you're like, well, there you go. Like, take your own advice. That was kind of the idea. But, you know, to do it with children, it's like, okay, so your parents are being abusive. If you say to them, you should tell us that your parents are being abusive, we'll help you, a kid's going to shut down. But you say, all right, write about your feelings. One, they're going to feel better just expressing it. But two, having it validated by someone who reads it. And also, you can gently coach them through this character about, you know, maybe the character should call up, you know, Childline, or maybe the character should tell one of his teachers. How do you think that would go? Oh, well, if he tells the teacher will probably do this. Okay, well, what if, you know, and you sort of just work through the issues by doing it through a character. And then you hope that gives them an epiphany to be like, oh shit, I'm the character, I could do this. It's kind of the idea behind it.
The reason I asked that question is because I know that a lot of people will draw the obvious analysis about your time as a battler, some of your persona online and some of your persona in person, which is, he just does things. And I'm like, do you know what I see? I see someone that just says the obvious, or at least what's obvious to him. And he's not all that concerned with the response that provokes or elicits, because you trust that people will at least think about it. And the thing that I found instantly interesting about The Right Path was that you've just hit the nail on the head so succinctly, is this idea that people are actually a lot smarter than they give themselves credit for sometimes. They put up mental roadblocks to their own progression because they undermine themselves. But by using language and using themselves as springboards for that, you've given people license to figure things out for themselves. And I guess the question is, like, Am I correct in that assessment, in your view? And secondly, where did that kind of... Dude, this is so blatantly obvious. I'm just going to say it. Where did that come from?
As in the fact that I'll just say whatever the fuck and not really care about the consequences. Like, where did that kind of attitude come from? I guess
so. I mean, because it's kind of ubiquitous in a lot of... Again, in your interview, man, it was so often that you just... Even if it's simple as like, listen, I'm just going to grab this water because I'm thirsty. Like, a lot of other people would be like, oh, sorry, I'm just going to... Is that okay? Is that okay? I'm really sorry. Is that okay? And you're just like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm just telling you that I'm just... Like, you do the obvious thing that in of itself isn't that... But it's almost... You just sort of bulldoze through a lot of the emotional linguistic quagmire that we put up a lot of the time, and I'm just curious where the hell that comes from.
I think so there's one thing is at school early on. I realized that if you say some wild shit, people listen, right? Like if you say something, it's kind of like Eddie Abu. I don't know if you know who Eddie Abu is. He's the guy who's always telling everyone to eat eggs and steak and whatever the fuck else. He's like very extreme with his views. And a lot of people take him the wrong way because he is so extreme. But if he said, look, everything in moderation, whatever, no one's going to fucking listen to him, right? But because he's just like, you must eat eggs. And if you have anything with sugar, you're a fucking idiot and should kill yourself and whatever. People pay attention. And it was the same at school. You notice you talk about something like, oh, that girl's pretty. No one listens. And if you say, yo, I'll bear back the fuck out of that and drown her in my cum, everyone's like, oh my God, that's so funny. Why would you say that? And you're like, oh, okay. So when I'm measured and neutral, you lot kind of just let my words float by. But when you say some outlandish shit, people listen, you know? And I think it's like with Eminem, you know, I've always seen it. If you look at his early music, when he's saying like, I fucking hate my mom, I hate Kim, those are love songs. What he wanted to say is, Kim, I love you. I wish you loved me back the same way I love you, but I feel like you don't care about me. If he puts that out, everyone's like, you're a fucking bitch. Like, no one's listening to that. So he inverted it and he's like, she's a fucking bitch. And everyone's like, whoa, this is extreme. I'm listening to this. So I think one thing I learned early on is if you're extreme in a way that is non-bigoted, you know, I try not to be bigoted, even though I've said some wild shit, but like in the context or, you know, about rights, whatever. But if you say something and your intention behind it is to be funny or playful or whatever, my understanding or hope is always that the other person just gets it. They get that it's a joke. They get that. That's why like certain battle rap things where people have taken it the wrong way, I'm like, it blows my mind because I'm like, surely you understand the context. Like, surely you get this is meant to be a joke or it's meant to provoke or it's meant to... It's not a meaningful statement. And I just think there's a big difference between saying, like, I fucking... Let's for instance say I'm battling someone that's black. I fucking hate you because you're black. Imagine if you just clipped to that one set. Don't clip that. No, but you know, you say that and then... That's one context. That's just racist. But then if you're battling black and I make a joke and I use the race angle, I'm thinking, you know, it's within the context of a battle. You know that I'm not actually trying to be racist. That's how I've always kind of seen it with all the outlandish shit. I can't actually remember what your question was. Like, oh yeah, where did that come from? Yeah, I guess so. So I learned that early on, and also my mum is very chaotic and very. What's the word? She's neurotic, and so sometimes I have to just get to the fucking point for her. Well, you can't do this, huh? If you she was always telling me what I can't do, right? Like you have to make sure you do this is impolite. You can't do this. You have to put your chair in. So I was always kind of like, what if I don't? No, but you have to. I'm like, all right, but I'm not going to, and I'm going to see what happens. And a lot of the time, you realize a lot of these kind of social rules and shit are just bullshit. Like you said, you just get to the point. Could I get this water? Thanks. Like, be polite. I like to say please and thank you, but a lot of the time I'm not gonna be fake. I think a lot of people are fake. That's the other thing. A lot of people say one thing and they mean something else. I just say what I mean, and yeah, I don't know.
I have so much I can unpack with that. So much I can back. No, for me, I don't well, because look, I maybe not as obtuse in the context of a battle rap, but I certainly concur with the sense of, listen, if I can contextualize what I'm saying and I can validate what I'm saying with a thought or a logic that isn't based in being intentfully malicious, I always feel like, why can't I ask a question? If the question itself offends you, or the notion that you think I'm undermining you offends you when I'm not trying to, that does say more about you than it says about me. And the question I'd have as a result of that is kind of tacking on to battle rap, because one of the things that they promoted your Bonnie Godiva battle is everyone came here to see something, and it's like, well, I kind of did and I kind of didn't. I'm here to see an entertaining battle. I didn't necessarily come here to see someone just think of the most offensive shit to say and then say it. So my question is, in modern battle rap, considering that was a tagline for your battle, are we getting away from the notion of what battle rap is supposed to be within context, which is, look, it's effectively a competition. I'm trying to elicit responses from not only my audience, but from you in order to convince them I'm better than you. Are we maybe losing the thread a little bit, or am I missing a thread somewhere?
I mean, I think maybe the problem is the way I see battle rap is not exactly the same as the way other people see battle rap. So I know, like, for instance, if you're Tony D, if I'm Tony D battling, my goal in my head is I want to prove I'm the best rapper on the stage. And so he's going to do that with layered wordplay and, you know, that sort of laid back casual delivery that he has, which works. And you know, he's one of the best at what he does, right? Or if it's shoddy, he's going to do it in a certain way. My thing is, I don't have that need to prove that I'm the best rapper, because I'm not, and I'm not a rapper outside of battle rap. I've always just seen it from a viewer as well as entertainment. When I watch it, I just want to be entertained. I want to watch the guy. If you put, say, Big J against Tony D, now Tony D might destroy him, but if Big J makes me laugh 3 or 4 times around more than Tony D, I'll be like, I'm giving that one to Big J. You know, he's fucking funny. I'll give that one to Lefty, right? And so, or even just whoever entertains me the most, right? And so to me, when I battle, I'm not thinking I'm going to prove I'm a better rapper. I'm thinking I want to get the most laughs or the best reaction from the audience. And I guess that is sometimes why, you know, I'm like a fucking reaction whore. I'm saying shit for reaction. And people do say it in the comments that, oh, he just says anything for a reaction. Yeah, because I wanted to have a good time. You know, when I leave afterwards, if they're talking about me, it's the same shit I said about the whole extreme thing at school. If I walk out there and I'm like, I can't believe fucking Enigma said that shit, what the fuck? Well, you're gonna remember that when you go home. You might not be talking about the guy with a triple entendre bar that you thought was sick. You're gonna be like, yeah, there was some really great ones, but this guy Enigma, he said about how he was gonna fucking come out of a dog's asshole and spit in his face. Like, what? Like, okay. And they'll use that to malign me. I'll take it. I don't mind. Like, I said it and I meant it. I mean, I didn't mean it, but I said it. You know, so yeah. So the question is, I guess, are we getting away from that? I think it depends on what you want to see in a battle rap. Like, if people watch my battles, they kind of know what to expect, and that can be either a bad thing or a good thing. You know, when people go on it and go, "Oh, Enigma's still shit." No, I'm still just the same as I was. Yeah, I haven't. I'm not going to evolve and suddenly start doing wordplay and not being controversial. I'm not going to get good, depending on what you think good is. Just like Lefty is still Lefty, and I think Lefty's fucking sick, and he doesn't get that respect because people just look at him like, oh, he's just a comedy rapper. It takes a lot of skill to be that funny that consistently, but you won't hear about it. So, and even Luna, if you go to Luna, for instance, sorry to cut you, but like Luna, when he tried to sort of change his style up a bit, when he battled MA. Was it MA? No, fucking MA. What's his name? Marv 1. I don't know why I said MA.
Yeah, Marv 1 in America, yeah.
Yeah, Marv 1, sorry. I watched that battle and it's like he didn't really connect with people as much as he had some good shit in there. He had like some clever stuff, but he didn't connect with people as much because they wanted Luna. And then when he battled Madness and he brought it back to what people wanted from him, they loved it. And I loved it as well. I was there for that. It was great. And, you know, sometimes people think they want certain things, but it works with different people. With Tony D, it wouldn't make sense Tony D being Luna C. If Tony D said some of my lines, they would just be like, what? Why would you even say that? And I think what we have lost and I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but what we've lost is characters. Is that people individualism individualism? I feel like, you know, before you'd have me, you know, all right, he's gonna say some outlandish shit. You got Eek, he's gonna say something fucking retarded. You got Lefty, he's gonna be funny. Big J's gonna say some funny shit. Tony D's gonna bring some deep stuff. Shotty's got like, he's got the bars, but he's also got that intricate multi-syllabic rhyme scheme type shit. You know, everyone had like something different, and I feel like it's getting more and more, well, from what I've viewed, it's more and more generic. Generic might not be the right word, but more just sort of homogenized into one type of style, one type of rap, one type of thing is considered good and everything else is bad. And what you get is the battles are just the same, and they're kind of stale, and unless you're in the scene, and obviously I'll watch it and I know people, but if you're out of the scene as just like a casual observer, you're just like, this is just the same shit. Whereas before, it's almost like people watch wrestling. You watch it, well, I kind of want to see this Enigma guy go against DK, because I know that she's like this and she does this kind of stuff. She's good with the freestyles and all of that, and I know that he's gonna say some vile shit. That's kind of funny. Now it would be rapper A against rapper B. Oh, I know he's gonna use a lot of great wordplay and triple things, and he's gonna use like a couple double entendres with some metaphors, and it's just gonna be the same thing back and forth. So
you are the only battler, and this, prove me wrong, fuckers, I've ever seen promoted using a clip, okay? Yeah. All it was 45 seconds, and it was the reaction. It was just the reaction to what you said, right? Now, you can go and watch the clip, you'll know what he's talking about. However, right, here's my thing. Yeah. That's more hearkening to what you're talking about. Individuals and acts that are booked for distinct reasons. Like you're paying to see the matchup of styles as opposed to like who is going to be like the best at this singular style, right? My question to you, since you're uniquely placed actually, because it was 10 years between battles, right? Or something like pretty significant, right?
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. So in your mind, why did we start going away from that? When did it become beneficial for battlers to become more homogenized in your mind, as opposed to being individuals who had, not everyone's going to get compared to Shotty or Luna, okay? Yeah. The popular guys who get millions, all the rest of it, right? But that's fine, because as an individual, you're going to get booked because your style makes the match. But why, in your mind, did we start getting away from that?
So again, I could be completely wrong, but just from my perspective, when I was going through, I remember like obviously people like Soul would come in and everyone was talking about, you know, what a good writer he is, and you know, and he's a great writer, but I'm not necessarily a fan of his, and I've said this to him before. It's not even, I like him as a person, and obviously he's a million times better than me if you're talking objectively with the writing, whatever, but I've never been like, I want to watch a Soul battle. Okay, cool, he's good with his writtens. But like I said, I'll be like, Big J's latest battle, let me click on that shit, because of the type of stuff that I want to see that's entertaining. And I think at one point, it's just everyone was looking at the Souls and the Tony D's and these writers, and especially on the forums and the comments, everyone was speaking about that. But you got 80,000 views on a battle, and you've got 100 comments. That's like, 0.1% or whatever it is, I don't know maths. But you know, not many people are commenting on it. So you might have 70,000 out of that are just like, that was just a fun battle. But the comments were all, oh, like Soul's pen game is so good. Like, you know, this is what we want. Like the other guy's shit and whatever. And then people see that and they start adapting their style to the comments, to whatever's in the forum, to the most like hardcore fans. But those hardcore fans don't represent the whole, right? And I feel like, you know, I would have a battle and it would get 70, 80, 90,000 views, and I would have 200 comments that are saying how shit I am, and the next battle would have similar amount of views, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't know if the other 80,000 also think I'm shit, or if they like me, they're just not writing the comments. You know, I don't know, but I do feel like at one point it was like battlers were coming on and they were catering to the what's the word? The visible comments. It's like they were catering to what they knew they could get visible feedback from. So they know like, well, if I write like this, the forum is going to be like, this is fucking sick. But you know, 100 members in a forum are saying it's great, but then all of the view counts of the battles are going down. So that to me says that the average viewer is like, yeah, I don't really know what the fuck they're talking about anymore. I just wanted to hear someone say your mum. And that's why Luna he's funny. When I started watching Lunacy, the first battle what I watched was Lunacy, like when I went to was Lunacy against Uno Lavos. And it was hilarious, right? And it's just, your mum's a fat whore, but they're making it rhyme. I love that shit. Now if you say it, they think you're trash. You know, like, why? Why is that trash? It's trash depending on what you want to see again, but I want to be entertained. But I will say that Luna, what he did against Madness was smart, because he managed to fuse his style in with a little bit more of the modern stuff to appease both sides. And I think maybe going forward, that's the way to do, is to try and kind of a little bit appease the forum, but then bring your own style into it.
I was going to say, I mean, it's probably not an easy question to answer. I mean, for my money, the closest person I see to having a fairly individualistic persona, at least, is Sean Cray, because he's adopted this whole geezer dynamic, and it's just a shame he's a Spurs fan. But the point I'm making with that, though, is that he's at least kind of acknowledging, right, I'm not going to compete with a Frankie Fraser bar for bar or written, right? I'm going to make it a competition of who's a bigger geezer, because that's my gimmick, right?
Yeah.
And he's riding that to reasonable success as far as the in-room reactions, right? But my question to you is, given that that's the dynamic of battling as it is right now in your mind, right, does that make you more inclined to get back into it or less inclined? Because you could make the argument, well, fuck me, if everyone's kind of the same and I stand out, man, I could fucking take it by storm. Or do you go, but what am I doing it for? What's the ultimate goal? Like, how do you weigh that up?
I mean, yeah, like sometimes looking outwards, you're just like, what? I just want someone to go in there and call him a cunt. Just call this guy a fat cunt or whatever, you know, like, and so that gives me the itch sometimes. I'm watching it and I'm like, why? Let's say there's a guy and he's battling some fucking fat hairy bitch with one leg and like a fucking eye patch, and then he's saying like, yeah, so I see that when the gun pulls out, she's a one-legged fucking eye patch bitch, call her a pirate. Why are you saying all this like clever shit? Just call her a fat pirate bitch, you know. And so it frustrates me sometimes from the outside, because I want to go in there and I'm like, why has everyone been so like, I feel like, how did this person even win the battle? He didn't even insult them, really. Like he just said a bunch of bars that could be used for anyone, or it's tailored to that person, but in such a kind way. Like, I want to see someone fucking go at someone. But you know, like you're talking about Sean Cray, I think he's a good example of someone who he has a character, and that's interesting to me, even if he is, say, doing bars, you know, maybe not the bars that I would do, or he's not, you know, whatever. Like he has his own style, and he stands out because of that. And I think he's got the success because of that. And yeah, I don't know. Just from the outside, sometimes it can be a bit boring seeing the same kind of thing and the same style. Like, and there's people, obviously there's outliers. You've got people like Shuffle T, and you've got people like Gemini and Bobby Rex. You know, one thing I love about Bobby Rex, like when he was battling, I think it was against Frankie Fraser, and he was basically saying like, I don't give a fuck about bars that you do. I'll do a couple, and I'll do it just to prove that I can, but I don't care. I just want to call you a cunt. I just want to say that you are a fucking piece of shit, a virgin pussy-o, and my life is better than yours. I am better than you as a human being. You suck. That was refreshing. That's what I want people to say, and that's why, to me, Bobby's up there with one of the best, because that's what I want to hear, you know. And no disrespect to Frankie Fraser, like he's obviously, he again is like a soul. He's really good with the writtens, and he writes some shit that's like mind-blowing that I could never write. But I just want to hear Bobby call him a cunt. Like, I just want, you know, so I don't
that's
even
why
know.
you need them both in there, really, isn't it? Like, what you're saying is like that Frankie Fraser soul-esque stuff only makes sense if you've got a palate cleanser of sorts, or someone to bring it down, to keep it to keep it interesting. So it's
variety,
because otherwise, dude, I'm not being funny, if what you're doing requires 2 or 3 watches to catch everything, right? There's artistic validity in that. There's something to be proud of that. Oh, I wrote something so intricate, so interesting that it took people 3, 4, 5 watches to catch it.
Yeah.
But if people in the room walked out thinking, I was all right, I'm not planning on going to the next event though, because that's my thing is I keep coming back to this question of why aren't people buying tickets to events as fervently as they used to? Why is it a hard sell to get the Patreon over the line when it feels like it's a fucking battle rap fan's dream? And it also feels, and this is just my experience, whenever you mention battle rap in public, there'll always be someone that comes out of the woodwork to go, oh yeah, I used to watch that.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what? And you never thought to fucking mention it? And they're like, yeah, I used to be a massive fan of it. Why? Well, I just loved this, that, or the other. And you go, cool, do you still watch it? I kind of fell out a couple of years ago. And it's that thing where it almost needs that fucking shot in the arm from whatever it is. And yet, when you ask that question, you get in trouble for it. Now, I'm not going to go into that. What I am going to go into, though, is my question about making the return, because this is an interview about you, is how do you feel about coming back? How did it feel kind of stepping in? Because, interesting story, there's a thing on his head that was not there the day of the event, and it was there after the event. And then I remember asking him about it afterwards, and he said, fucking door swings both, what was it? It swung both ways or it stopped or something, whatever it was.
So I pushed it in and it swung back and hit me in the face, which is one of those ones that like battered wives say, like, you know, I pushed the door and it hit me, but genuinely that's what happened. And
that door at the event was fucking, I can attest to this, that door was fucking lethal. It took out 2 guys, and it took out a guy who had one of those chicken and rice meals, right? Clattered him, rocked the shit all over the fucking place. It was brutal, man.
Yeah, that door, like, it literally hit, it was here, and yeah, I don't know, like, that fucked me up, because I was bleeding everywhere, and the thing is, it didn't even feel that bad, and then I just started feeling, like, really, like, my mind was, like, cloudy or foggy. Like, basically, I've had a lot of concussions from football, because this is the thing as well, like, to someone else, that probably would have just hit them and it's fine. I've had a lot, I've got, like, fucking scars and shit here, from the amount of times I've gone up to head a ball and someone's just headed me in the head, or I've been kicked in the head. So even now I don't header a football. Like when I do, and I'm playing football and I head a ball, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, my head feels fucking heavy. So yeah, I don't know. It hit me in the face. I was bleeding. I thought it was fine, and then I just started feeling really like sort of lightheaded and a bit shit. And what was annoying me is that everyone was just going, oh, it's just the nerves. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean nerves? I've been doing battle rap for, like, you know, 10 years or whatever. I'm not feeling nervous. I feel sick. But it sounds like such an excuse, you know, oh, but I got hit by the door, and you know, now I feel like something's going wrong. And people didn't believe me, and I don't know what it was. I just felt shit, and I got there, and then, yeah, and obviously when I was rapping, it was obvious to me that, like, a shit was dropping out of my head, like, that had never happened before. So
I enjoyed the performance. I just felt bad for you, because I remember, I don't know if it was before or after, I remember going out, like, sort of mid-event to kind of walk to my car, and I look at, oh, there's Enigma just by himself doing this, and you were doing your rounds, right? You were sharpening it up. And here's the thing with that, right? I know what you just said about the nerves and bollocks, but there is something to be said about the fact that I at least had the respect and presence of mind to go, I shan't bother him though, because I don't really want to go dap him up and say, oh man, great to meet you, come do the show and all the rest of this bollocks, when it's like, yeah, great, and then because
I actually saw you. I remember seeing you, and because we'd spoken online as well, and I said, yeah, if I see you at the event, come say hi and all of that, and I was like, but don't do it right now, don't do it now, because some people do that, and you're caught in those two minds, because like, I don't want to be rude to the person and be like, yo, I'm rehearsing here because you just look like a dick, but at the same time, I'm rehearsing here, and I saw you, and then you just went somewhere else. I was like, all right, cool, good. I'll speak to him afterwards. I'm not sure if I even saw you later on at the event. I don't think I did, but
I don't know. And his goons might have chucked me in a back room by that point. I don't know. It's difficult to remember. It was a black bag. There was candles between my toes. It's a blur. But my point there is,
like a gay orgy that you were. I don't know what you were doing.
Listen, just because you weren't there, don't be jealous, okay? It happens to some of us, and it doesn't happen for some of us, okay?
Left out. I thought would have invited me, but all right, cool.
Listen, okay, I have to sit gently now. But my point is, right, okay, 10 years, or nearest makes no difference, right? Just,
Yeah.
I know you again, maybe it doesn't have that emotional resonance, but I know if I stopped YouTubing and did one after 10 years, there'd be something in me that goes, oh, weird to be back. How did it feel?
Well, yeah, so had a few times spoken to me about coming back, and obviously for a while I wasn't interested at all, and then I started seeing people online. This is why Twitter's toxic, but in a different way. I was seeing everyone have fun, and I was like, I don't like this shit. Like, I feel left out. Like, why is everyone posting up all their battles? I'm like, oh my god, the battle rap scene, there's a resurgence, whatever, a revival, and I'm like, what do you mean? Why am I not involved in this stuff? But at the same time, I was still resistant. So I was like, I kept saying, yeah, I would do it, and you know, I was like, you know, maybe. If it was like a last minute thing, because I was like, I don't want to have to rehearse for months. And then I remember right before Bonnie, there was Moke, he was meant to battle someone and he dropped out. I didn't even know who the fuck Moke was, and I watched one of his battles and it was against Ark, and me and Ark are cool, like he's a good friend of mine, and I saw him in his battle. He like knocked the bottle of water out of Ark's hand or something, and I was like, that was a bit of a prickish thing to do. And then I started rapping. I'm like, you fucking fat prick. Why would you? You know, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to try and battle him. You know, it's a few days away. Fuck it. I'll do it on the... And I messaged him and he just aired it. He just ignored me. So I was like, okay. Okay. So then I was out of it. And then like offered me Bonnie. I think he offered me some other people. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And he said Bonnie, and he's like, you've got bars for Bonnie. You don't even really, you know, obviously you got to write new shit, but you don't really need to. And I think knows me as well, is that he says that knowing that I'm going to end up writing 3 new rounds and whatever. So I took it with the thought in mind of, I don't have to do any work. So at least I get to battle. I get to get back into the scene. I get to do that without having to put in the work, which is the thing that made me resistant. And then obviously as soon as I accepted the battle, I started thinking of other bars that weren't there, that I was like, I went back to read some of the bars, and it's like, this one is, I said something about like, oh, it makes sense you're in beef with Arsenal because you look like Danny Welbeck, or some shit like that. But it was like, it wasn't even a relevant bar. You know, Danny Welbeck had played for Arsenal like 7 years before or whatever. Also, it's a terrible bar, but like that's irrelevant. My issue was just that there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. I had a whole thing about like, she gets Messi and Bale because she's an El Clasico, she swings both ways, I don't know, whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, again, Messi and Bale no longer play for Real Madrid and Barcelona, so I had these like weird irrelevant bars. So I just started writing some new shit, and the only thing weird about it, or not weird, but the only thing about coming back after so long is knowing where the line was, because of, I guess, the climate and, you know, politically speaking and whatever the fuck, you know, like what is considered too far. Whereas before it was never a thing. It's just like, if it's funny, it's funny. And so there were bars that I wrote that my wife told me to say and that Ark told me not to. Yeah. And when I say told me not to, he was just saying, like, as your friend, I think that might be a bit too far. And my wife, who's meant to be looking after me or whatever, is meant to be on my side, is like, just fucking say it. And I was like, yeah, but I should say it because I don't give a fuck. Like, I want to say it. And she was like, just say it. And I was like, but the thing is, I kind of, thinking back to like the bar I said against DK that was so controversial. My friends then, no one pulled me up on that. Again, my wife heard that, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she heard those bars and she didn't want to say, I don't think you should say that. She was like, yeah, fuck it, just say it. And I'm thinking like, well, if Ark was there, he might have been like, don't say that. So I kind of got into my head in a way that I didn't years before, where I was thinking, well, Ark said I shouldn't say it. I think I should. My wife said I should. I think I'm going to listen to him because of what happened before and whatever. So there are some bars that I had for Bunny that I thought were fucking hilarious. And I still considered saying them on a day. Like, I kept them at the back of my head. Depending on what she said about me, I was like, if she crosses this line here, this rebuttal is coming out of the fucking graveyard. But yeah. So the question, like, was it, I guess the weirdness thing was like sticking to my style and being controversial, but maybe not going too far, whereas before I maybe wouldn't have held back a bit. And I also tried to level up my writing. And when I say level up, just maybe be a bit more aware of what I was writing, in the sense of before I would just write shit because it rhymes. You know, oh, there's a fucking massive computer and your dad is a shooter and this man is with an African pooter. Like, it didn't even make sense, but if it rhymed, I would just say it. Whereas now I was like, let me actually think about, you know, making relevant multis and can I put a metaphor in here? And I tried to take it a little bit more seriously than I did before. So that was the only difference.
I have to ask then, because this is no one's fault. Again, I am walking a thin line and trying to maintain relationships. I'm not eliciting blame on anyone's point. However, I will say it is profoundly depressing that at the beginning of every don't flop fucking video now, they go, don't flop, all you know the rest. And your battle in particular, I thought it was hilarious because within the first, I want to say 15 seconds, you said the two words that they probably said, listen, we're so happy you're back. If though, and this is just if you could maybe not put those words in, we'll love you forever. And within 15 seconds, you went, yeah, anyway. Now, my question is not about why you did it or how do you feel about it? My question is more broad than that, which is, how do you feel about battle rap as a genre when that's the climate we're in? We're in a climate where YouTube have basically made it impossible to monetize anything when it deems it bullying or mean. It's battle rap, bitch. And you've also got an era where, I know what you're saying about the line about if it's funny, it's funny. But you do have an audience now that are constantly thinking about, yeah, but what does everyone else in the room think? Rather than just reacting. Yeah. How do you balance that? Or how do you feel about that?
So one of the reasons that I also wanted to do it is because I was tired of seeing just all this bullshit. Like, just fucking say what's on your mind. Like, it felt like it got really like watered down and really pussified. And everything was like, oh, you can't say this, can't say that. In general, like in real life as well, you know. That's why, as much as there were certain things I didn't say because Ark was like, maybe that's too far. I thought, well, they said, I know they're going to say, you can't say the word retarded. Well, that's going to be one of the first fucking things I say. And you can't say faggot. And it's like, well, again, to me, it's all about intention and it's all about context, right? Like, if we're talking real life, of course, like, I'm not homophobic. Like, I'm cool with gay people. I'm not going to, like, go up to them and say some shit. But if you put me in a battle, I'm calling someone a faggot. Like, you know, it doesn't mean anything, right? So to me, I was like, they're going to say I can't say the R word, I can't say the F word. Well, fuck what these retarded faggots think. That was probably like the first bar that popped into my head. And I was like, I'm going to say it. You know, there's certain things I wouldn't say. And I get the arguments because people's like, well, if you wouldn't say the N word, why would you say that? And it's like, well, that's a little bit, the N word and the F word, not the same, right? Because faggot at one point, I think it was very universally agreed that faggot had evolved to be just an insult that wasn't necessarily aimed at someone for being gay. Like, you would just be like,
dude, the word still exists in every supermarket to this day because it's on a meat-based product. The word itself exists. Like, the context of it and the intent of it has to matter. Otherwise, why are you allowing that version of it to exist almost?
Exactly. And like, I don't know if, I'm assuming you've seen the South Park episode from years ago where they're talking about, like, they get brought to court because they were like, they're saying it's homophobic language. You're like, no, we're not saying these guys. We're talking about these faggots over here, like these guys on the bikes, whatever. You know, and it was like, that's how I see the word and whatever. And so certain things I said, I'm just going to go out there and say it. I don't give a fuck. And my third round, you're kind of talking about, like, you know, how you have to think about how people are going to react to certain things. My third round was awkward as fuck in the room because people didn't know whether they should react. They didn't know, like, if it made them racist to react, which is crazy because back in the day, in a battle, you could say to someone, if you're battling someone that's, I don't know, Chinese, you could make a joke about number 69 off the menu or whatever the fuck, yeah, and yeah, it's racist in real life if you say that to someone who's Chinese for no reason, but in a battle, you got it. It was fun. It was funny. He would laugh. You would laugh. He would talk about how I'm a cracker and eat mashed potatoes out of a sink or whatever the fuck. And it would just be, it was the one place where you could just say whatever the fuck you want, and you knew it wasn't from a place of hate, because like ironically, it's not from a place of hate as we're hating on each other.
It's still in service of a goal, which is ultimately I'm trying to get everyone to react and you to react, and that's the goal here. And within that context, that should matter. But because battle rap is widely available now, it gets clipped and disseminated, at which point it loses that context. So it is difficult. I do grant you that.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. You think about school and you when you get into cussing matches and someone's like, oh, you know, your mum's fat, and he's like, yeah, but I saw your mum at Iceland stealing the nuggets, whatever, and I was like, oh shit, and whatever, and you would say fucked up shit, but again, it's between friends, everyone's laughing, it's done, and that's how battle rap was. So when I came back to battle rap, I was like, I want to reintroduce that energy, but I was like, when it got to my third round, I was aware. I framed it in a way, and I guess it didn't work. But in my head, I was trying to frame it in a way where I'm not saying something racist against Bonnie Godiva. I'm talking about something, but using her race as the lens that I'm seeing it through, whatever the fuck, right? Like I tried to get at a certain angle, but I realized that as soon as I mentioned anything to do with blackness or her blackness, it was instantly everyone's just like, are we allowed to react to this? Like, this is fucked up. Which is weird because I ran it past people before, you know, bars. Like I ran it past Uno Lavos was telling me, he was like, that third round, that's your best fucking round, man. Like, fucking say that shit. That's gonna go viral. And which really, that should have raised a red flag. I was like, what do you mean it's going to go viral? Oh, wait, because I'm once again saying something that's so fucked up that is going to go viral. But anyway, I forgot my point. Yeah, so I don't know. I was aware of it, but I wasn't, what do I try to say? I was aware of it, but when I went into the battle and I felt it, I wasn't aware that the audience was going to be like that. I was aware that the people watching at home might critique it in a way like, why would he bring that shit up? Like, he's so fucking racist, or he's so offensive, or he's homophobic, whatever the fuck they want to say and take shit out of context. But I wasn't aware that the audience would be at a point where they don't even know they can react. And that was strange because I was saying certain things and I felt the energy shift in the room, and people coming up to me afterwards like, yo, I loved your third round. And I was like, and they're like, but I couldn't react. You couldn't say shit. Like, people were like this, like, you know, whatever the fuck. Which is crazy because at one point back in Don't Flop days, like, we performed in front of 1,000 people at Leeds University, me and Eek against Most Prob and Rapunzel, and we did fucking Hitler jokes for like 3 rounds, and people are laughing their ass off. Like, whereas if we did it now, if I was like, I heard that Hitler killed your ancestors, whatever, the room would be silent. And it wouldn't even be silent because they'd be thinking that's racist or whatever. They would be more thinking, yo, can he say that? Or if I laugh at that, are people going to cancel me? Or are people going to look at me funny? So it was strange. So it was hard. It was hard to try and find a good balance in advance. And then it still didn't quite hit the way it should have afterwards.
I have a theory about that because... not that I'm equating it to be the same thing, but I had a vaguely very similar experience during my little exile that we all know about, which is I'd get DMs from people repeatedly saying, you're right. And it's like, great. Now fucking say it in front of everyone else, for fuck's sake. And if it's just crazy to me that it's either one of two things. It's the death of critical thought, i.e. you are not thinking about this enough to actually gauge what I'm trying to say or do, right? Yeah. Or it's the death of fully independent thought, in the sense of, right, you're looking for validation from everyone else before you do something. But the problem is, so are all of you. So you have effectively fucking bottlenecked thought if that happens. And look, I'm not saying react, I'm not saying laugh, I'm not saying be offended, I'm not saying not be offended, but the fact that you're all looking to each other first, rather than letting the initial reaction of offense or laughter or whatever it does to you be your guide, because you mentioned about battle rap, the comments being sort of the most vocal people, they don't reflect the majority. It's sort of like that. It's like, right, I'm going to wait for everyone else to say Kendrick Lamar was the winner before I agree. and then it sort of, and at that point the narrative takes hold, and you're fucked. You can't fight the narrative. So my question is, right, in an era where that may be the case, maybe it isn't, how do you reconcile with that as a performer who you still have? Dude, you still want to do your thing, man. You still want to be creative in your own way. You still want to say, you want to speak your piece, right? But you are in an industry, or you're in a genre where you do have to get people to react. And if their initial reaction is to, oh, no, can't, not gonna, how do you either bypass that, or how do you evolve past that to kind of go, I'll still get you, don't you worry. Like, how do you contend with that, do you think?
I don't know. Well, I kind of want to go back to what you're saying, where it's like once a narrative holds, because what I've and I think that's really true, that once something, like a collective of people decide on something, after that you're fucked, right? And it, to me, like for instance, when I battled C major, after battling C major, like my momentum was going up, and people kind of respected me. And C major obviously is a great battle rapper, so for me to have potentially beaten him, even though I lost, you know, I was up here. And then as soon as I said that bar, the perception of me after that was completely different, and it could never go back, right? Because and now every battle people bring up this same shit against me, and I feel like it's annoying in a way that once people have made that decision, like for instance, once people say Enigma shit, it doesn't really matter what I do after that, because they're gonna say it's shit. So even if I say something offensive in a clever way, they're gonna be like, oh, he's just him saying offensive shit again. But you could take some of those bars, not all of them, because some of them will be shit, but you could take some of them and you could give them to someone else, a different battler. I could give them to, say, Gemini or Tony D or Shorty or whatever. Not saying my bars are good enough for theirs, but they could perform those same bars and it would get a different reaction. Just like, for instance, Soul could say something trash, but because it's Soul, people are gonna be like, that's probably sick. Like, I don't even understand what he said, but it's fucking sick. You know, Ogmios could say something and they're like, I bet that was deep, and they'll react to it because the narrative is he's a clever writer, or he's whatever. And I'm not saying that all these narratives are wrong, but I'm saying there's a perception of who I am as a battler that is my fault, partly because I've obviously portrayed that character, or that's only that side of me. But then it does mean that all my bars are getting judged based through who people think I am. And so linking into kind of what you're saying, like how do you kind of manage that? It's hard because it's like, you know, for instance, when against Bonnie, I wanted to bring up the daughter thing because I knew it was going to come up. And I wanted to talk about like how that actually affected me in real life. You know, something that I said fucked with my life. Like, it went viral on TikTok, again, stripped out of context, and went into my children's school, you know, and it, you know, it was a horrible kind of thing. And I wanted to talk about that, but then it doesn't really matter what I'm talking about if I try to talk about something, say, deep and all of that shit, because you're just like, you're the fucking idiot who said it. Which is true. I am the fucking idiot who said it, but I'm also the fucking idiot who thought that people would understand what I was trying to say, because clearly I wouldn't write something like that and rehearse it and say it if I thought that people were going to think this, you know, and that's frustrating as well. Like, again, like going into anything, like, you think, okay, I'm going to say this, clearly they get it's a joke. Clearly, for instance, the Bonnie Godiva battle, they understand at the third round it's an angle. I'm just finding an angle. All right, she's doing OnlyFans. I don't give a fuck if she does OnlyFans in real life. She can shake her fucking titties around as much as she wants. But then in the room, if I bring it up as an angle, apparently, like, someone was telling me that one girl's telling someone else, oh my god, he keeps talking about his OnlyFans. Who cares? Like, it's okay. Why can't a woman do OnlyFans? She can. What the fuck has that got to do with what I'm saying in the room? Like, you're overthinking it. It's an angle, right? She can do whatever the fuck she wants. It's just like if someone works at KFC in real life, cool, you got a job, good, you're paying your bills. But in a battle, you work at KFC, motherfucker, go make me some chicken. Can you imagine, like, the whole crowd going, but he's got a job, so what? So yeah, I know it's an angle. So that's frustrating. It's frustrating that sometimes you hit an angle and people are judging it in a way where they're not understanding it. I'm just trying to have a bit of fun. I'm just being playful. And it worked the same, you know, when Bonnie's talking, she was like, oh, your wife has a long history of taking black dick, whatever. You know, that was funny to me. Like, it was because I get it. It's an angle. Like, she doesn't know my wife. It's and even afterwards, she went up to my wife and apologized to her. My wife's like, no, it's all fair game, because again, my wife's not taking it seriously because she understands. It's part of the sport. It's funny, right? But you could imagine there's other people that would be in my place. They'd say that and they'd be like, don't fucking talk about my wife like that. She's not like that. It's like, yeah, calm down. We're here to have fun. It doesn't matter. We're all gonna fucking die soon anyway. Like, we're just here anyway. So I didn't really answer your question, but the point is, I go in there just thinking I want to have fun, and some people are like doing dissertations about what a dickhead I am and how, like, you know, a cultural fucking, I don't know, a cultural ruiner. I don't know, like people like me ruining battle rap.
I'm not being funny, right? I'm going to throw myself under the bus a little bit here, because I like to consider myself somewhat of an intellectual. You know, I get accused a lot, like, oh man, we can't have you on the spaces. Your questions, they're just too deep, man, and it ain't that deep. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's how I know I'm not completely devoid of getting battle rap. The line in the Lunacy Madness battle, the one we're all bet, oh, it's the headline. Okay, your mum squirts chicken and mushroom pot noodle water. And I remember being like,
Funny.
I don't know what to do with that, but it popped everyone, right? And there's no one who wouldn't. And you go like, right, do you really think he thinks that? Do you really think he thinks that? Like, lads, if we have to put a disclaimer before every battle rap, like fucking Jackass, none of the bars are meant to offend and everything is purely coincidental. It's like, dude, do I have to warn you the coffee's hot? Is that, because I worry about that, because here's the thing. I think when you weren't being so conscious, not you, but the scene wasn't trying to be so conscious about things, and it was more embracing of that maverick fucking rebellious attitude, right? It had a cool factor to it. It had this, we don't fucking get, we're doing what's right by our standards, and our standard is, if it's funny, it flies, brother.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's kind of weird now to be the one flying that flag, because I am that guy who in school you'd have been cussing my mum out because I wasn't sharp enough to say. I had to be athletic or I had to be artistic in order to get my kudos, right? So I'm the last person that should be defending it. But I go to battle rap events to be entertained, man. I'm not that clued into the double entendre, the multisyllabic stuff. I do go to be like, what have these guys got for us? And I think the question then becomes, right, and here's how I would pose this to you, is how do you reach that fan these days? The lapsed fan or the on-the-fence fan who's like, listen, I like battle rap, man, but I feel like I get judged for watching it to a degree. I feel like it's lost a bit of its cool factor for me. Like, how do you entice them to be, no, fuck that noise, come to the next fucking event, buy a t-shirt, buy a beer, come and say hello, and then stick around for the battles?
I mean, I think for a start, so if we're going back to, say, Lunacy, what I want to say about that bar, you talking about the squirt and the chicken thing. What I don't like is when people judge something like that, and it's the same, for instance, like with Eminem when he says it's goofy shit, and they judge that and they're like, oh, look at this fucking shit bar or whatever, and it's like, do you really think he doesn't know how to write something better than that? Look at the rest of Lunacy's bars. He knows how to craft an interesting punchline and all of that shit, but he said it because he thought that's fucking funny, right? And it was funny. And same with like Eminem will say some goofy shit, you know, he's got a fucking hamster going up his ass, whatever he said in fact, because he thought, fuck it, that's funny. Do you think he doesn't know how to write bars? Look at all the other shit he wrote, right? And I think, you know, we're getting to a point where people feel like they can't drop those moments, they can't do those fun bits because it has to be airtight and has to be perfect, and it's being judged by, you know, like a very critical rap journalist who's going to look at every single bar, and it has to be so perfected and has to be like, you know, like 4-bar leading up to a punchline or whatever. And I think that's what's making it stale, and that's what's for me kind of fucks it up. And I think you see someone like, say, Shotty or Shuffle. This isn't quite with your question, but I'm going to go. It's basically, I want to say, is the best art to me, and this goes across all, whether it's like TVs, movies, whatever. The best art works on 2 levels, right? So if you see something like Breaking Bad, a fucking 8-year-old could watch that and appreciate it, understand it, on a surface level and just be like, this is cool and tense and fucked up and enjoying it. And then someone who actually knows more can look below that and see all the layers of meaning, all the other the depth below it. Same with, like, say, Sopranos. Someone could just watch Sopranos as a 10-year-old and be like, oh, this is cool, like they're in a strip club and they're calling everyone motherfucker. But then there's layers below it. And I think the best art has the surface level that anyone can appreciate it, and then below it. So if you look at, say, Shuffle T, Shotty, and this is why, you know, they're the best at, you know, in what they do, is that Shuffle can say something that on the surface to an average fan who doesn't know, it's just like, that sounds cool, that's funny, ha ha ha, whatever. And if someone who understands the metaphors and the multis and the double entendres can see the craft below it, right? And they can see, and both levels work. And that's why someone like Shuffle versus Shotty, even the average fan who tuned out years ago, they're going to watch that battle because it has that on both sides. Whereas now, and if you think of, like, books as well, right? There's books which is like fucking War and Peace, which, unless you're just like really literate, you're not going to be able to even get into that or get past the first 10 pages. And then you got like a really like shitty James Patterson novel that a fucking 8-year-old could read. And then in the middle, you maybe have someone like, say, Stephen King, who he's got enough of a literate side to give you some depth, but then also on a surface level, any dumb motherfucker can read it, right? And that's, this middle bit is the bit where I think it should be going towards, but it's gone more towards the literature side, where it's just War and Peace every time, and it's just like this deep shit that, you know, a professor would fucking love that. They'll do a whole class about your round in uni, you know, and talk about all the depth of it, but no one gives a fuck. Only 800 people are watching it, just like only 800 people are buying this literature novel, whereas this fucking really like surface level shitty tense thriller over here, 2 million people bought that, right? So I'm saying, like, I'm not saying be shit over here, I'm just saying stop being over here, be in the middle, just blend it, do some surface level shit for the average fan who's just like, I just want to hear you call them a cunt, and then give us something below. And like I said, there's certain people, Lunacy, Shuffle T, Shotty, they can flip between Gemini, like they can do comedy. You can not watch battle rap and watch Gemini and be like, this guy's fucking sick, right? But to us who actually understand what he's doing, he's sicker than sick. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's kind of my theory of the duality of art, or whatever the fuck. I haven't got a name for it. That's, for my PhD, my thesis is about the duality of art. There has to be surface level and layers. But yeah, anyway.
But I love that dissertation that you just gave, because it explains something that's kind of baffling to me, which is the prevalence of pen game at the moment. Because I, as a battle rap fan, watch pen game and I think, dude, I'm not being funny, I could do that. But then there is the fact that a lot of these guys are probably more talented than the stuff that they're being exhibited at displays, but they're trying to make it palatable and palpable to people that are just coming in the door. Right.
Yeah.
Just come in the door. Maybe sit and do this for a bit. And then maybe, if this is the sort of thing, hey, maybe you might want to sample this over here. And I feel like sometimes battle rap events, I feel this, and I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah.
It is more guilty of being that high gear, high octane, sort of, you got to know the nuts and bolts to really get every ounce of enjoyment, rather than, right, we'll start the card with something basic and fun. We'll then amp it up as the card goes. We'll maybe change direction here or there. We'll book the card around a theme or whatever. We'll give it an edge that people can walk off the street and have a great time. And then we start building their fandom over time, rather than, no, you're coming in, you're hearing the hardest shit, the tightest shit, the most complex shit from bar to... And you go, not being funny, dude, Checkpoint 5 was 10 and a half, nearly 11 hours. Yeah. That's a long time to pay attention to every little thing that's said. And I loved it, but I was fucking exhausted at the end of it, brother. So I concur with you completely, and I have simply one question to ask about that, which is, where do you think you fit into the scope of battle rap at the moment then? I mean, do you have designs on continuing, or is it a case that you dipped in, you've done a couple, and you're thinking, that was fun, but... because I understand the come down after a battle rap event is fucking intense, from what I hear from a lot of guys, where it's like, God damn, that feels so good for it to be done. I just feel so happy I'm done. And then you get that itch again down the line. It's like, oh man, I kind of want to come back. But that has to happen organically, rather than it being a sort of fuck on to the next one. But how do you see yourself at the moment?
So after the Bonnie one, I didn't want to do another battle, but it was one of those things of like I fucked up my Bonnie battle. I had this head thing, and whether it was because of that or any other reason, either way, like I didn't deliver how I wanted to deliver. There were so many bars that just disappeared from my mind. So I was like, I can't leave it on that. I got to do another battle. But again, I was so resistant to it. I was like offering me a few things. I was like, no, I don't really want to do it, but I kind of want to. And then Marlo was looking for someone for a 1-rounder. Well, I said if it was a 1-rounder, cool, whatever. Because again, 1 round, I feel like that's not much of a time fucking what's the word, commitment. There wasn't time commit. 1 round, I'm like, I could do that in a couple of days. I don't have to like spend weeks doing shit. And then I think Marlo messaged me and he was like, just to let you know, I'm going to be writing 3 rounds. If you end up only writing 1, I'll whittle it down to 1, but I'm going to be writing 3. So what are you saying or whatever? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm writing as well. And I've got probably enough that is almost at 3 rounds. But I said to him, just give me a couple weeks first. Let me see. Like, let's say it's 1 round now. And then just naturally, as I started writing and thinking more ideas, it got to 3 rounds. And yeah, so I did that one. And again, it just took over so much of my life that when I was done, I was like, I don't really do it. Like, I enjoy the moment of performing. That's it. And everything else before is hell. Performing is fun. Watching it back is all right if you're with friends. But then all the comments are obviously just like, Enigma's fucking terrible. He should kill himself. And like, why did he come back? You know, he's so shit. And whatever. And which is fine. But then I'm like, not that if everyone said I was good, it wouldn't make a difference. But it's like, I'm like, all right, I did that. I don't know if I really want to do another one, but I might do another one at some point. You know, I'd actually like the idea of me and Bonnie doing a 2-on-2. I actually think that could be pretty interesting because Bonnie's obviously known for just not giving a fuck and saying whatever she wants. And having both of us together just be as kind of raw as possible. And we're quite opposite in character. And I don't just mean black and white and man and woman, just in general, like, yeah, in America, you know, she's from America, whatever. We're not like the same people. We don't rap the same. I think it could be like an interesting dynamic, us as a twosome going against someone. That's probably the one thing in my mind. Like, if me and Bonnie, I could do a 2-on-2. I think that would be quite fun. But other than that, there's not really many that I'm thinking that I'd even want to battle. There's not, again, like, it's like, if you give me like, I don't know, a fat ginger lesbian that, you know, that's some low hanging fruit. I'm like, okay, I probably got some ginger jokes left over from Cracker, maybe some fat jokes that I haven't said, and lesbian jokes. I don't think I've used any yet, so I could do a few, but, yeah, I don't know. You saying, where do I fit in this? I don't know. I don't know where I fit in it, but I just think in general, I wish that it would just be, like you said, with you're talking about pen game, a little bit more palatable for just the average person. It's like when they talk about scaring the hose music, when it's like you're at a house party, there's a bunch of women there and they put on like some, I don't know, Loki or some shit, and it's like some deep political rap, and the girls are like, what the fuck is, like, we want to listen to some bangers, like we just want to have fun and get our tits out, or whatever. I don't know what house party I'm at here, but they're all just getting their tits out. But you know what I'm saying, like, and I feel like that with battle rap as well. If you're trying to bring people, average person, into it, they're kind of just going to be like, what the fuck is this and when does it end? Not that, like, they could probably still appreciate it, but you know, the average person is probably gonna be like, yeah.
I feel like it's when you, sometimes at least, I love it, okay, I'm in the deep end of battle rap fandom, but I feel like when I show people battle rap these days, it's like when someone shows you around their house and they show you their hobby that they're really proud of and they're even quite good at, but you go, yeah, but here's the thing, I actually don't care about model trains.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that they're quite delicate and probably very expensive. I don't give the tiniest shit about your model trains. So if this could be over, that'd be great. So I take your point with that. But I suppose that begs the question. Sorry, go. No, shoot.
No, I was just going to say...
No.
Going back to this whole, like, duality of art thing that I was talking about, like, you know, as in... Like, if you bring someone who's never watched TV, or like they've watched EastEnders maybe for their whole life, and then you try and show them The Wire, or something deep like that, they're probably gonna be like, after half hour, they're gonna be like, can we just turn this off? This is just, I can't get into this, right? But if you have someone who's watched a lot of TV and understands that kind of shit, they're gonna watch Wire and be like, this is fucking amazing. And I think someone, let's say if we're talking about like battle rappers, let's say Soul is The Wire, is like the version of The Wire. Tony D is like, you know, The Wire as well. I don't know what other fucking smart shows there are. I'm trying to think. It's Chernobyl or whatever, right? Like, and then you've got, say, Shotty, who's like a Breaking Bad, and like Shuffle T, who's like Friends. And I'm saying, like, if you have more of that variety, when you then have a Friends, which is, say, Shuffle against Soul, that's interesting because you've got that variety. But if everything is The Wire, and I'm kind of saying the same point I said earlier, but if it is that, it just is very hard for someone to get into who isn't into it. And even the people who are into it, like, I can appreciate one of those battles, right? I can appreciate, say, Soul versus Tony D. But if I'm drunk at an event, that's Scared of Hose music. Like, I just want to hear Luna C say squirting chicken out of your fucking vagina so I can laugh and then carry on with my night. Right? Or if I'm like, sometimes with your friends, you're at your friend's house and like, oh, let's stick something on YouTube. Oh, Lunacy like against Uno Lavos is fucking hilarious. Let's put it on. You sit around. No one's sitting around being like, oh, should we put on this fucking really deep battle type thing? I mean, sometimes you will if it's just you and a friend and you want to do it. But if it's just a bunch of you drinking at the house, you just want some fun shit to put on. You can't do that anymore. You just want Pamphlet to say some mad multis about, you know, fucking shagging your granny or whatever he says. Like, so yeah.
No, I completely take the point. And look, I think like everyone, we're searching for maybe an answer that isn't there. Maybe battle rap is a genre as it stands at the moment that's gonna tick along. Yeah. And it's gonna persist because I think it's something people are very passionate about even when it's on the downturn. But here's the question I have for you then. And maybe this is kind of a douchey, artistic sort of, let me ponder the question, right? But how do you reflect on your tenure as a battle rapper, but also your contribution to it and the scene with respect to what you... Because, dude, you were around forever, and you've been there at almost every critical point in it. You've got as much to say about the contribution towards it as anyone. But how do you reflect on it? Like, again, if you look back and go, right... When I started to now, how would me starting out and me now look at it from various perspectives and reflect and derive whatever I'm deriving from it? Like, how do you look at it?
I mean, when I first started, first obviously I just did it because it seemed like it was fun. And then when I got into it and I was battling all the time, at a point where I didn't even really know what I was doing. Like, I knew how to rhyme words and that was it. I didn't really understand sort of like on a deeper writing level. So I was like the average fan. Like, I wouldn't even have understood what the fuck someone like Soul was saying back in the day or what the rhymes mean or whatever. I just was like, what? Like, you know, and I don't know, like, I was just doing it for fun. And obviously that whole daughter bar thing, that kind of fucked things in a lot of way because it took the fun out of it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, once a narrative is kind of lodged in place, it was no longer just like, I used to see it almost doing comedy or stand-up. I'm just fucking about with some friends, just going around to say some outlandish fucked up shit whilst we all get drunk afterwards. And then after that, it's like, oh wait, there's real life consequences to this, and there's real life issues, and people viewing me in a certain way because of the shit that I was saying. And that side of it was annoying, not annoying. I don't really know how to say it. It was just, it dampened it a little bit because it became less fun because it was no longer about me saying some fun shit. Now I'm like, well, if I say this, someone might think that. And if I say this, well, so what the fuck am I doing it for? Like, what am I getting out of it? Right. And so at one point it was just a really fun hobby, and then it became a chore. And then there'll be stuff like I had battles lined up, like the Bonnie one, and it got cancelled because the first time I think she got arrested or some shit before she was meant to fly out, the night before, and I'd prepared for so long and it got cancelled. And then I was meant to battle Uno Lavos, who I'm a big fan of. I think he's hilarious, and as a person, he's a great guy as well. But I same thing happened. It got cancelled at the last minute and whatever, and I was just like, I don't really give a fuck about doing this anymore. And I don't think I'm the greatest person to talk about the scene because I never had that investment in the scene that other people have had, right? And this is what I was saying, like different people, someone like Big J or Lefty, they're just going in there and they're going to be funny. They're going to entertain you. Someone like Tony D is going there and he's like, I'm going to be the best. And if you say that I'm not, I'm going to show you I am. Someone like Tony D or Gemini, people that are actual rappers and actual like craftsmen with their words, and who have been doing this and studying it and all of that shit, to them, they're taking it in a very different way than I do. Like their battle, and obviously that's probably why they, where the ascendancy comes from for them to get the title shots and all that stuff. And yeah, so I guess my answer is, I don't know. I feel like my position in battle rap is not really understood. I don't think. I feel misunderstood in the sense that I've never claimed that I'm gonna be one of these guys. I've always just been there like, I just want to have fun. If the fans like it, it's cool. If my fellow battle rappers think I'm whack, I don't really care, because it's like 100 people laughing in the audience is better than 5 of you telling me I'm great, because this isn't what I put all my energy and thought into. I'm not a rapper. I'm not expecting someone to praise me for that. But I understand someone like, say, Gemini, who is a rapper. He's like, well, I want the audience to laugh, but I also want my peers to respect my craft. So I think, yeah, overall, I've kind of been misunderstood. I feel like I get judged through the lens of like, you are a rapper and you're not good enough or whatever, rather than I'm just an entertainer. If I've entertained some people, and if I've made people who've had a shit day put on one of my battles and laugh, or just be like, you know, you made me forget about my day for a while, that's all that matters. And I kind of feel like that's how, if you want to say like, what would my legacy be? I want that to be my legacy, is then that I've made some people enjoy their time. I've made them enjoy an event, or even go home, like I said, and talk about it. Even if they're talking about going, I can't believe you said some fucking mad shit like that. Cool, but did you have fun? Yeah, that's it.
All right, couple more questions, because that was a surprisingly, again, I think I was, I'll be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I had preconceptions going into this interview. The levity, the unserious nature of the man, very difficult to separate, because again, I appreciate and accept that battle rap is a weird fucking mechanism of a genre, in so much as, and I've been, and again, I ain't even battled. Apparently the only media member that hasn't. Weird. But my point there is, even I got sucked into I got a narrative about me. He melts down. He loses the pot. I'm like, mate, if you'd seen me while I was tweeting, it was so impassive and so not emotional. But yeah. I got pissed off because it's the temerity of, you fucks keep lying about shit. I'll just fucking call you out, right? But then that becomes my reputation. That's now, oh, you're the guy that does this. And I'm like, no, that was one time. And I felt completely legitimate in doing it. So yeah. I feel what you're saying about the legacy of a thing and deriving the sort of, sorry.
No, I just said, like, because you're triggering me. Like, you just said, like, that is the fucking, that is the worst thing about it, is when someone has a perception of you that isn't you. And I have to take some accountability, because obviously I've portrayed myself in a certain way. But also that comes with, there's growth and missteps and things that obviously as a 27-year-old that I thought I'm saying as a joke, that as almost 40, I'm going to be 40 next year, I'm still getting judged on some shit I said then. And it's like, you know, I'm now still being seen as like, I don't know, like you just get viewed in a certain way, and you're like, you can never separate yourself from the story that they've created about you. But also it's your fault. And it's my fault. It's your fault for cussing them. But at the same time, it's not. I get it. On your side, you're like, yeah, but I was just saying shit. And on their side, it's like with Yunnan, and he has his little fucking meltdowns and he tweets, right? And it's like, everyone's like, oh, Yunnan's a fucking dickhead. Why is he doing that? But then it's like, but he's a real person. When you see him in real life, he's not like that. And I get it's very easy just to see him as a caricature or anyone and just be like, well, Yunnan's the guy who has meltdowns. He's a fucking dickhead or whatever. and whatever. And it's like, really, no, there's a person who's behind that who obviously just isn't good at like controlling their emotions in the moment or whatever. But beyond that, you know, he's a whole human, and that frustrates me. But I guess it's the nature of battle rap and putting yourself out there to be judged. You're going to be judged.
We can only control the intent. You can't control how something's received, perceived, and then processed. And all you can do, even after the fact, is try to add context when you can. And even that's difficult, because then by that point, someone just wants, you're only saying that though because of this. And you go, no, I'm saying it because you're wrong. And that only works. And okay, here's why I get so uppity about it. We're off on a complete tangent now, by the way. But fuck it, we're on the tangent, and we won't go on forever, I promise, ladies and gentlemen. But what happens when it's you? What happens when the sword turns and now you're the one that's on the end, and now context, intent, fucking circumstances, provocation, all the rest of that stuff, people just having a... When none of that matters, and now it's you, are you comfortable with that? Because that's the shooting gallery you're in, and I would much rather say to someone, no, if you cocked up, just, I cocked up, cool, welcome back, brother. Rather than, no, naughty step for you until you know what you did. Well, will you tell me what you did? No, you have to figure out what you did. And I feel like battle rap sometimes...
Even if you say, well, that wasn't my intention, they're like, but that's how I took it. So that was your intention.
And that's now by proxy, I don't care what you have to say about it, because now, again, you're only saying it because I took it that way. It's like, dude, when I'm telling you I did it for this reason, it got this instead, and I didn't know that was going to happen, so I now attempting to correct that. What, like, surely, like, because if it was my intent to have the reaction that you reacted, why would I say anything at this point?
Exactly. And why would you have done it in the first place? Like, if I thought that that's what you would think, I wouldn't have fucking said that shit, or I wouldn't have done that shit, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
But I tell you what, the lesson that it garnered, because I want to ask you what battle rap's taught you, but the lesson it taught me is that kind of what we were talking off air, by the way. Loads of stuff, hilarious. Shame we didn't record it, and you'll never see it, fuckers. But the lesson I took from it was, right, you just have to be clear with yourself. You have to be genuine in what you're doing, and you have to abide by your own principles and fucking... You have to be comfortable enough to put your head on the pillow, basically, right? But my question to you is, because, again, battle rap, as much as it has taken, and it's taken its toll, and it's been rigorous, and it's had its ups and downs, you wouldn't still be doing it if there wasn't something that gets you, right? But my question is, like, what have some of your highlights? Like, when you look back on battle rap and you're like, say, you know, they ban battle rap tomorrow, right? For whatever reason. That say they just can't stand my show anymore. We've got to ban rap to get rid of it.
Yeah.
What do you look back on and you go, do you know what, though? That was pretty fucking cool. Or, do you know what? Like, this was really fucking cool. I'm just, core memory. I'm going to hold on to this.
I think that first year doing Don't Flop, or first year or two, whatever it was, is like a fond time, fond memories that I have at that time. Like, it's you know, I was battling maybe every month, but I had a lot less responsibilities. I mean, I had responsibility. I had kids. I only had 2 kids back then. I got 5 now. But you know, I had, you know, I had time, a lot more than I have now. And less work to do, less projects to work on. And I was at that time in my life, 24, 25. I'd recently been divorced. You know, so I was on that, like, I was in that hoe stage of just getting drunk and fucking around, whatever the fuck I was doing. And so my wife just gave me, she gave me this side eye, like, what?
And how many orphans did you save that day? And how many kittens were there that you I think my feed from yours just cut out there for a second. Sorry, it's so weird.
So anyways, I was fucking these bitches. No, I'm joking. So, no, it was one of those things of like, you know, I'd go and I'd just get drunk and we'd battle and like, and obviously around that time as well was the time when I met my wife. And she came to the events. We'd go to like trips up to Manchester. I remember us going, and Leeds, and so it's like the early stages of our love as well. And battle rap kind of were fused together. So she come to the battles, and yeah, like it was just a good time. It was just a blur almost like that year. And I met so many friends, like, people that became my friends, so many people. And I traveled to so many places that I'd never been to. Before that, I'd been London, obviously I'd been to abroad, but I'd never thought to go Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds. And suddenly I went to all these places and I had friends there. I had friends that I could speak to in different parts of the country, and I could perform in different parts of the country. And there's people from, say, Leeds who I didn't know, or Newcastle, who are like, yeah, I'm your fan. And, can we take pictures? I'm like, you want to take a fucking picture of me? What? Like, and so there are a lot of memories there. Like I went to Newcastle to battle on Get Slated, which was Adam Z. He started this league. He did a couple battles for Don't Flop. And I remember I went there and then I fucking got so drunk. I passed out in a club for like 3 hours in a toilet. And then I got on the train, but I got on the wrong train because he'd given me a ticket for like 7 in the morning. And I thought it was like an opening ticket. I got on there, dragged off the train, ended up in a prison cell, or like, whatever this shit, right? Because it was like 3 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm not getting off this fucking train because I'm fucking hungover, fucked off because I just passed out. I've got a ticket. Like, I don't care if it says 7 in the morning. I'm on the train. I'm not getting off the train. Give me the £20 fine. And like, no, instead of that, we're going to get the police to fucking drag you off. And I end up in between Newcastle and London, some fucking random hillbilly town. Anyway, but like so many random memories like that, and going, like I said, meeting people from different areas, and now I've got friends all over England and over the world, like friends from America, like Caustic stayed over at my house and shit and played FIFA with me. I feel like he stayed the night, yeah, with Mickey Worthless maybe, but any, just weird shit like that, and like, flying out to watch Disaster vs. Cannabis in LA, and hanging out with, say, Bagnall and fucking, who else is there? Impact and stuff like that. And in LA, like all these moments that wouldn't have happened without battle rap, or it expanded my life, it expanded my friendship group, it expanded my understanding of the world. So like, not even the battles, it's just everything else around it. And but I say, no, when I go to an event, there's like 50 or 60 people that I know that I'm cool with, that I'm happy to see. Like, that's not normal. Usually you go to an event and maybe you see a couple people there, or you go to like a family barbecue, and even them, you don't even like everyone. You see a couple cousins that you're cool with, and then the rest you're like, you fuck off, whatever. But like, I go to an event and I'm like, I love all these fucking people, and we have shared memories and shared understandings of stuff, and yeah, like that's to me. This is gonna sound like some fucking hallmark, but it's the friendships we made along the way that is the most important thing. And genuinely, as corny as that sounds, it's all the people that I've met. Even talking to you, right? Like, I never would have spoken to you before if I wasn't in battle rap. You seem like a cool guy. Now, if I see you in the street,
Nah, he's wrong.
or a
Total
dickhead,
dickhead here, ladies and gentlemen. Total dickhead.
probably. But if I see you in the street 10 years from now, I see you in the street and I'm like, motherfucking Lord, what's up? That's one more person that I know in my life who seems cool, who might not be. If it turns out, like, if we find out on the news that you've been killing people or some shit, I'll just be glad I'm not on the list.
I am a straight up. I said this on a previous show. I said it to Cooper. Straight up gangster, and he lied. Now, when you catch me being a straight up G, don't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah, but no, like that's the memories. Really, it is just the people and how kind. As much as I've moaned about, like, oh, the narratives and the shit, how kind people have been to me on a one-to-one level, just at shows, and how like welcoming and open everyone is. And yeah, just it showed me a version of life that wasn't just going out in Croydon with the same 3 guys I know doing the same old shit and getting drunk, whatever the fuck. Like, it expanded my life. So I love it. I would never, like, not do it again. And I feel like that's probably the reason that I don't really feel the urge to do it as much now. I just like going to the events. I like seeing everyone. I like being that annoying guy, because I'm always that annoying drunk guy where they're like, oh my god, fuck off, Enigma, like, go away, man, let's stop talking to me, like, I'm like, oh no, I love you guys, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, that's it. That's my main thing.
I love it, man. And I'm broadly the same. It was going to Undisclosed 13. One of the biggest things was I got to meet 2 of my mates for the first time. In the way of, well, I'd never met Blizz, and we'd been talking for like 2 years, and he's a fucking dope guy. And Dub T, twat, but a nice kid. And so, like, I got to dap him up, and his battle got cancelled. So it was like, dude, don't worry about it. You get to meet me. And he's like, yeah, I might just go home. Like, it's fair, but you're right. I will say it till I'm fucking blue in the face. What I love most about battle rap is the people that comprise battle rap, in the sense of you meet creative, thoughtful, kind, and relentlessly talented people who you would have never met because they walk a different path in life, but they converge in this room where we're about to say very mean things about each other's parents. Yeah. And there's something beautiful about that. And so, yeah, God bless it and long may it continue. I suppose the final question, not that I necessarily think you need this, but nevertheless, the gimmick is I'm supposed to big up your socials and your upcoming projects and, oh gosh golly, the Patreon of Enigma, and get a t-shirt and stuff. I have a sneaking suspicion that this might be the easiest outro I've ever done, but is there anything you'd like anyone to be aware of, or anywhere you'd like people to follow you in an abundance and, you know, just give you all the money? Where can people do that?
Well, my Twitter's inactive at the moment. I shut that down for a while so that I could work on stuff that I want to work on. Twitter just gets in the way. I feel like I get sucked in. Same with the battle rap. I'm thinking like, if I stay on Twitter, I'm going to do another battle. I know I'm just going to get hyped on all the announcements, and then I'll be like, go on, send me someone else, or you know, I'll go battle and premiere battles. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I don't even know what my Instagram thing. What's my Instagram? At gkelly1985 maybe, or at gkelly85. I don't even actually know what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's nothing really. Again, like back in when I first started battle rap, maybe I was trying to get up followers and all of that shit. And I just don't really. I'm too old to give a fuck about that stuff now. Now it's just like, yeah, I just want to hang out with my kids and watch my Wana too. You know, like we were talking about earlier.
We'll get a PR box set up so people can just mail you cash directly. Just cut out the middleman. And
yeah, if they want to send me money, that's cool. Like I'll always accept it. You know, if they want to send me random gifts, just send them wherever. But yeah, there's nothing really that I've got to promote. I just set the record straight. You know, I'm not a full cunt. I'm like a 62% cunt. Like I think I'm like 38% a decent guy. I'm not as bad as people think. You know, if you see me at an event, come and say hi to me. I'll always try to be nice and friendly with you. If you're alone and you're going to come to an event alone, hit me up on Instagram. I'll make sure that I'll bring you along in my friendship group, because I hate when people go to an event and they feel like they have to stand there alone and they feel left out, because that happens sometimes. People watch it and they're like, I wish I had someone to go with, but their other friends are like you said with the train set thing, they're like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about battle rap. So if you're ever wanting to go to an event and I'm going to be there, come join my group. Other than that, I have nothing to say, really. All
right. In which case, I usually I'd hit stop because that was almost perfect. However, I'm going to go on record because you were, after I had a hiatus when I went to Checkpoint 5, baby. This isn't my first rodeo of being on the outskirts of battle rap. And I'll never forget, I get DM'd from, interesting. I read it and I go, and do you know what it was, ladies and gentlemen? It was this gentleman saying, I hear you coming to the event. If you're there and you're by yourself, come and find me, come and say hello. He made a point to go out of his way to make me feel like I was welcome and at home. And this is from having never met me in person before. Never, ever exchanged more than maybe a couple of tweets backwards and forwards saying hello and blah, blah, blah. That's the character. So not 38, at least 45. At least.
You know, I didn't even remember doing that, but you know, I like the fact that I did that. It means at least I'm consistent. You know, I'm trying to consistently be. I think I'm trying to make up for the cunt that was there for the first 30 years of my life. So yeah, we'll take it down. I'm 65% cunt, right? Or wait, what was the maths? 45. You said, all right, 55% cunt.